All right, so it's time to break down the camper. Unfortunately, you've got to pack up, and we're going to cover how to pull these slides in safely. The very first thing you want to do, I typically always start with the bunk room slide. You want to come out here and make sure, because if you've run your sewage hose here, sewage hose might be running up under here a little bit in between, your sewage dump and this line. You want to make sure that is not in the way. This site doesn't allow us to connect it, that's why it's not connected, but really critical that you check that there's no water hoses, people, dogs, pets, any property, anything in between the bottom of that slide and the RV, because when you go to close it, it's going to be a problem. You especially want to check your water hose, or if you have a coax cable running through here, you want to make sure that that's clear. So long as it's clear, we're going to walk back over, and then we're going to check the interior of the room before we close it up to make sure we won't have any issues. So we're going to pop in here, open the door, look down on the floor, make sure that there's nothing in between this surface right here, right, and this wall over here. Otherwise it'll be crushed or you'll damage the slides. Also want to make sure that if you had this laid out in a bed format, you want to go ahead and get it flipped back up. Make sure everything's been put back in the way it belongs and is all settled the way it should be. And then we'll come back to the panel. We're going to leave this door open just so we can keep an eye and keep an ear on those motors. And we're going to come in here, we're going to hit in on this slide out, and that's going to control this bunk room. Same thing as before. Whenever we're operating these motors, we're basically listening for any sound change. If we hear any changes, we know something is wrong, or we know that it is closed and finished. Oh, right there. As soon as it started to get a little bit lower sound like it was struggling just a little bit, that's where you need to immediately stop. If you keep going, you'll damage the motor or the cables or pulley system or even the slide. That would be a very expensive repair. Please don't do that. But once you've pulled it in and you heard it kind of change tones, we're going to tap the button in the opposite direction. We're going to put it back out just for a half a second. Just take a little bit of that pressure off. That's all. It's going to take a little bit of the pressure off. And now at this point, we can go and turn off the light in here, and we are done with that slide. Effectively, pulling in the other slides is exactly the same. You're going to check outside of the RV, make sure there's nothing in between. You're going to look inside the RV, and then you'll do it. The best order to do this in, honestly, is to do the bunk room first, then do the master bedroom second, and then do the main room slide last, because that way you can still kind of get around in here as you're working. And that explains how to pull the slides in when you're done camping.